Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Dr. Rosa. You can call me Dr. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about what eating strategy I can potentially use to take my steps. So let's get right to it. So you've applied, you have your date set, you've studied hard, and the test date is just around the corner. I know you've been grinding hard at the materials and questions, but the question is, have you been given any thought to how you're going to distribute your break time and how much, when, and what are you going to eat throughout the entire test to be able to sustain yourself through it? And that's precisely what we're going to be talking about in this video. First, both Step 1 and Step 2 CK have both the 45-minute allotted break time that you would be given. However, the difference is that Step 1 is a total of an 8-hour exam, whereas the Step 2 CK is a total of a 9-hour exam. So this will change essentially how your time is distributed in your breaks. Now, before we dive in, I want you to keep in mind that this advice is not intended to go above any recommendations from your primary care provider, especially if you have any condition or any situation in which you need to have scheduled meals or medication. And I would be giving this advice under the assumption that you're at a stable health and you're taking the test at the standard allotted time. In other words, that you are not extending your time for any particular condition or reason. Now, let's start by talking about Step 1. Probably the test you're going to be most nervous about. So essentially you should take about 4 separate breaks during the test. So first thing in the morning when you wake up, so make sure you have a complete and full breakfast. Have a significant amount of simple carbs, some, not much, of complex carbs, and an ample amount of protein on that breakfast. Having a well-rounded breakfast will allow you to have a good source or a good base of energy for the short and the long-term run throughout the test. Once you register and once you're sitting for the first time in front of your desk during the morning, take the entire 15-minute tutorial time. This is not a race of speed, it's a race of endurance. So just take this time to organize your desk, to get into the mindset of that you're going to be taking a very extensive test throughout the entire day. In addition, you can use this time to write notes down on your given pad, to write the biostatistical formulas. That way you have everything said inside your desk and won't be scouring later on if you forget something. So because you will be well rested and have had breakfast, your first break should be after the second block. In other words, after the first 2 hours of undergoing the test. This will be a 10-minute break in which you will consume a small amount or a snack of simple carbs and water. No complex carbs or not a sandwich, just a small snack. Essentially, the premise behind a snack or a small snack, it's because if you take too big of snacks and too big of a load of carbs, this can be detrimental further on. It means that if you have a big enough snack that it expands your stomach will recognize that, oh, you have eaten, so it will divert the blood flow, as you already know how it does, to your digestive system, and such you will start feeling sleepy throughout the test. So you want to avoid your stomach to expand and identify like, oh, you've had a bigger meal. After 2 more hours, 2 more blocks down, it's lunchtime. And this time you will be taking a 15-minute break. Why? Because you will take this break not only to have a small snack of protein. And why protein? Because protein will allow you to have a more long-term base of energy throughout the rest of the 4-hour test, kind of as a baseline. In addition, 15 minutes because it not only allow you to relax mid-test, but also it'll allow you time to go to the restroom and be able to empty your tank and not have to be able to do it further on in the test. Now on this break, you can also, if you have the need to do so and if you have the flexibility to do so, you can also allow to take this time to take any sort of medications that you might need for whatever reason. So you sit down back at your desk. You've entered the afternoon part. This afternoon part tends to be a bit more difficult in general just because of the fact that you've been long hours doing questions under stress and you need to continue grinding on. So this tends to be a bit more difficult part because you get you're starting to get a bit more tired, mentally tired, and all that. So for this reason, you should be taking a 10-minute break every hour. In other words, you start block 5, and once in between block 5 and 6, you will take a 10-minute break. And in between block 6 and 7, you will take another 10-minute break. Similar to the morning, on the first break of the afternoon, you will have a small snack with only carbs and water. So this is intended, again, for carbs to be kind of a load of energy for the next about 2 hours or so. So this means you will have this block of energy of carbs for block 5 and block 6. On the second break, you will have simply a snack of pure protein and water to have that basis of energy replenished again and push through the 7th block. So in summary, you will have a 15-minute tutorial in the morning. 2 hours go by, you take your first 10-minute break. The next 2 hours come by, it's lunchtime, and you will have you'll be able to take a 15-minute break. Next hour goes by, block 5, between 5 and 6, you will take a 10-minute break, and after block 6, between block 6 and 7, you will have your next 10-minute break. That way you have the entire 45 minutes allotted into pretty uniform spaces in which you can sort of relax, review any material if you need to, get some water, do anything that you might need to avoid stress overcoming you, and be able to maintain focus on the long run. So your step 2 CK. So unlike the step 1, this is a 9-hour exam in which you have 8 blocks of questions of 60 questions instead of 7 like your previous test did. You will be granted the same 45 minutes of break and the 15-minute tutorial at the beginning. And for this reason, I advise you to distribute your break time in 1 of 2 ways. If you've been able to train yourself mentally to stay concentrated for longer periods of time, then I would advise that you will take your 15-minute tutorial at the beginning of the test, and once you've done the first 2 blocks, you will take a 10-minute break. You will do 2 more blocks, which is 2 more hours of your test. You will arrive at lunchtime or at noon. You will take the same 15-minute break that you took on step 1, and you will afterwards, once you come back, you will start to do 2 more blocks, 2 more hours, and then you'll take another 10-minute break. At this point, you'll be between block 6 and 7. Once you come back, you'll do blocks 7, and you'll take another 10-minute break right there. Once you come back, you do block 8, and you will finish. You would have finished the test. So 2 hours a break, 2 hours a break, which would be noon, then 2 more hours, another 10-minute break, and then 1 hour of test taking or doing a single block, a break, and you finish. Now, on the other hand, if you prefer to have shorter breaks but a little bit more often, then what you would do is take your 15-minute tutorial, do 2 blocks, 2 hours, get an 8-minute break, do your next 2 blocks or next 2 hours, and on that noon break or in that lunch break, instead of being 15, you will do 13 minutes of break. Once you come back, you do block 5, you take an 8-minute break again, block 6, 8-minute break again, and then do block 7, and you take a 8-minute break again, Once you come back, you do block 8, and once you do block 8, you finish the test. This will allow you to have a bit more of a frequent break time if you understand that you are able or tend to fatigue a bit more on long-term studies. Now, there's a very important note that I want you to remember on any of the tests that you take. Going in and out or taking breaks from and going from your desk to your locker and back and whatever you do on your breaks, it takes time to get out and get in. Every single time you go out, you will have to sign and will have to be properly identified. Every time you come back from a break, you will have to be scanned, and you will have to put your signature as well. Assume that in total, this getting out and getting in registration time takes about 3 to 4 minutes. So when you take your 15, your 10, your 8-minute breaks, take that into account. Take the fact that from that total of 15 minutes or 8 minutes or 10 minutes, you would have to subtract between 3 and 4 minutes depending on your test taking place. So this is it for today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. It means a lot. And until next time, I wish you a healthy life. See ya.